Prem Namaste, Kale Vanakkam and divine greetings from me, Shridika Pillai, and the rest of the team. Welcome to another power-packed Sadhana, the Inward Path. In our lineup today, we enjoy our signature offerings with Kugan on Yoga for Wellness and the Holy Tirukkural too. But first, we meet the remarkable Lutchman siblings. Rajesh, Veena and Mala from the Lutchman family are familiar names within the South African Hindu community. This dynamic trio have in their own way committed their lives to upholding Hindu Dharma through the paths of devotion, action and knowledge. We found out more about their special bonds as siblings with a common purpose of fostering Dharma.
For my mother, there was immense love, unconditional love. An interesting thing about her was the almost daily trips to the local library. And we cultivated our love for reading and for literature. And for all three of us, I think that habit has become a very firm habit right up to our old age, as it were. My father, on the other hand, he did not show love overtly as one would know today's fathers, as the kind of father I am to my son or to my children. He was aloof, but if you look at his actions and the way he lived his life, it was completely dedicated to his family. He worked first as a trousers maker in a company called, I can't quite remember the name of the company, but I'll come back to it, at Kismet Clothing. At Kismet Clothing, he worked as a trouser maker. And he felt that his earnings there wasn't enough, then all his brothers were builders. So he started a building company called LG Brown Construction. His nickname was Brown, Lutchman Gunpith Brown Construction, LG Brown Construction, which eventually became Coastal Construction. And that was specifically because he realized, as a person working in the clothing industry, he's never going to be able to afford his children the kind of life he envisaged for them. Hence, he ventured into his building. He was never a qualified builder per se, but if you look at his workmanship, and people will tell you that he was an amazingly talented and gifted carpenter.
When it came to the language itself, the person who was truly, truly instrumental in all of us becoming very much involved in Hindi was my father. He was very adamant that his children are going to have that academic side, which everybody used to, feel was the best thing that happened to people in the world. But he says that the language of the home, what is essentially ours, my children are not going to be separated from that. We used to go to Hindi school, I think 3 times a week at that time. And our guru was actually a student of Pandit Nardev. So Pandit Nardev was our per guru. And so there's this very beautiful relationship that one has with the per guru. And I was very fortunate when I started teaching at the university. I used to do a lot of translations from Hindi into English for Panditji, and that English was then translated into isiZulu to spread the thinking of Indian or Hindu philosophy. That was the last piece of work that Panditji was really, really seriously engaged in. So it was wonderful for me that I was able to serve my Guru at a very beautiful level, where the knowledge of English was crucial. And although he wasn't able to speak English perhaps the way you and I would, but he understood it perfectly and he knew exactly what he wanted to say in the translation. So if I said it the way I thought it should be said, he says, no, isko fir se karo. Do it again, that's not exactly what I meant. So all of those are wonderful learning experiences.
Yes, we went to Hindi school. My father insisted, and I'm truly and deeply grateful for that. Because if it weren't for that, if he were one of those parents that said, no, let the children do what they want to do. He was very strict. And after school, come home, go right up the hill to Hindi school, We had Guruji Deep Narayan. When I think about it, he had an accident when he was younger and he was hunched. He used to take the bus from Clearwood to come to teach about 10, 12 children in Sabingo Beach every day. It was such a thing for us that we had to give up playtime. Well, there was no TV at the time. Playtime while our friends were having maja, kicking a ball or whatever, we had to traipse up the stairs to Hindi school. But it never occurred to me then what hardship he would have gone through to come all the way there to teach us Hindi. And those, of course, my dad had taught us before that. Then we went to Guruji Deep Narayan. And when he stopped coming to Hindi school, my dad used to take us every Saturday to Clearwood. And Veena and I used to sit in the back, very often hoping Guruji will be sick or won't be there. And so we can have a free Saturday, Well, we were children. We were still in primary school at the time. But he was there, and we wrote the exams set by Varda. Those days, the Hindi Siksha Sangh exams. I never knew I'd become a part of Hindi Siksha Sangh later in my life.
Then came the early teens, and we once went to visit one of my father's very old friends, a gentleman called Master Ram Shankar. Now, we all used to laugh at Master Ram Shankar. He played the flute, the bansuri, with his nose. He blew through the air. So, and he was, in his youth, my father started learning music under him. So my father learned that he was also in Espingo, and he said, let's go and visit him, and he took 3 of us and go. I remember distinctly he lived in a garage, one-room garage, and so they started talking about music, and he asked my father, what about the children? And we started teaching them music. He said something like, kahan se mein hai? Where's the time? Just, we'll start now. So he took out his harmonium, and that's where the journey started. Then my father suddenly, perhaps he realized then that there was some inherent talent in us, whatever it is, and he started some formal teaching. The girls started with harmonium, and he started me on the tabla. Then one Diwali, it was in 1971, 72, around about there, my father's very good friend was a gentleman called Ismail Qasim Tai. They had a Brighton Beach history. They lived together in Brighton Beach. They played cricket together, they played soccer together, they played music together. And he studied under a gentleman called Ustad Sultan Khan, who also my father was a violinist for. So at one Diwali, the typical thing on Diwali, my father used to invite his non-Hindu friends home for supper. Not only my father, my uncle, so all we used to get together and have, the idea was to have dinner together because it's Diwali. And then we invariably had some music. So when so my father told him, look, let the children start. So he was quite surprised. And he said, from next week you send the boy to me. I said, what do you mean? He said, send the boy to me, I'll start teaching him. Ismail Kaka was a highly accomplished tabla player. And that started a 16-year journey with him. And for me, it was an extremely special relationship. We were too young at that time to understand the value of the education and the association, because we took it for granted. And of course, perhaps that's what youth is all about. It was 15 years, and it was 15 rigorous years, because it was 2 days a week. It was the kind of relationship when you went there for a lesson, and the lesson started at 7 o'clock. There's no such thing as now 8 o'clock you go. No, you go when I tell you to go. It could be 10 o'clock, it could be, and a Saturday night was worse. You could finish at 12 o'clock. And so that's what started the music journey, and then I was very fortunate. And I have to tell you, the values that I learned from my tabla teacher, both from perseverance, from dealing with people and human beings, were far more conspicuous in my working life than what I learned at university.
You know, we all have a love for music. We all have a love for Hindi. We have a love for English as well. All of us majored in English and Hindi at university. We all started off as teachers. I'm still a teacher. The other two have moved on. But there's been, you see, also we are a year apart. We grew up together. Like I said earlier, we burst into song when listening to All India Radio. We went together everywhere. We had the same group of friends because of the age group. And we went to university together about the same time. We all, Veena and I started teaching in the Sipingo. Rajesh started teaching in Cleveland High, but not far away. And that music has really, and Hindi, has kept that bond together. And you know, our names are also strange. My name is Mala Veena. If you look at Ma Saraswati, in the one hand she has a mala, in the other hand she has a Veena. So I think my mum kept those names for us. Very, very apt. I'm more into prayer. She's more into music. We sang together. It was bhajans in the mandirs. Like I said, we used to go often to Juma Road Temple. In all the Ram Navami time, Krishna Ashtami time, Gita week, we read bhajans. And you know, when you have a link among siblings, that link is strong, then the relationship stays strong as well. And the relationship also continues into the next generation, as it should.
The father of our nation. It was Nelson Mandela through and through. The entire CD that I had done, Cherish South Africa, all was inspired by him. I was listening to his inauguration speech, and I remember sitting at the couch, and suddenly I got this chill, and these words just started coming into me, in very Shuddh Hindi, and that was Chal 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 O Desh Vasiyon, Sukh Shanti Ki Or Badho. Basically, the song said, "Come along, fellow South Africans, let's work towards building this country." And we created a complete CD on it, where one track was dedicated to all of those who lost their lives in the struggle for freedom, so that we could be where we are, that sense of freedom, and 2 or 3 songs that I had written myself. And the national anthem, a lot of people said we do not understand what this national anthem is all about because it's in different languages. And I said, okay, let's see what can we do to make it more appealing to everybody. So I thought a Hindi version of it perhaps would change people's mindsets. Subscribe to this thinking, and it's a thinking that has been popularized over the years by Sri Satya Sai Baba, and that is the land that you're born in is the land that you owe your loyalties to. And for me, and I think I speak for my siblings as well, South Africa is the land that I am born in, and this is the land that to me is my motherland.
Older cousins, Hiralal Shunath. He was in many ways, for the 3 of us, a compass, a moral compass. Our love for Hindi, our love for languages, but our love for social work, especially from my side, came from him. The other person who was very responsible in shaping my own perspective of life was, of course, Dr. Ram Bose. Dr. Ram Bose was the ex-president of the ABH. And soon after I joined it as its CEO, he was an amazing mentor for me. But I learned something from him. For example, why one should not procrastinate. There may be never tomorrow, or alternatively, if there's never tomorrow, you're going to hold up things. So we learned very quickly that get things done as soon as possible, avoid procrastination. And of course, the love for social work, the love for empowering and developing people, growing people. And I was extremely privileged. And I think about it today, I really consider it as a special boon from Almighty that the 17, 18 odd years that I served at the ABH, I was given the privilege, because it placed you in an amazing place to make a difference to so many people's lives. And for me, the wonderful thing about it was not about a particular community, as a wide community, African, Indian, whites, coloreds, that everybody was in the mix and you engaged with everybody. And it was so humbling that you had no choice but to appreciate everyone's inherent humanity and work from that perspective. And that was an amazing lesson for me. And that, of course, to a large extent, helped to develop a worldview that up to today ensures that when we talk about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole world is one family, for me, and I can say very clearly for my sisters, it's not something that's just a maxim. It's something that we try to make as a part of our internal, inherent living philosophy.